My mom is cheating on my dad with a family friend, and he doesn't seem to care. What do I do? This got kind of long. Sorry, I don't even know where to start. My hands are still shaking. I'm so mad, upset, or whatever. I just still feel so scattered right now, so I apologize in advance if things I say don't make a lot of sense or if I start rambling. I'll go back and edit things as best as I can. For clarity, the husband will be H and the wife will be W. My parents have been friends with a couple their age since before I was born. They are all best friends with each other. They seriously do so much together, and I've known the couple ever since I can remember. W is seriously the nicest person in the world. It makes me sick to think about because I've always been fairly close to H and W, and they have a son that I'm friends with. It also makes me feel even weirder because of all the things they've done for us. Apparently they have helped my parents out with money before when things have been tight. Like buying them a new car when my dad got in an accident and wrecked his and needed one for work. They're pretty rich, whereas we're not. That's not to say we're poor, but there was a stretch where my dad got laid off for a while. My mom works for our church, so I guess she doesn't make a whole lot, and my dad works for a car manufacturer, making better money than he did when I was younger. So anyway, last night, H was over at our house to hang out with my dad. Like I said, they're best friends, and he and W are over here a lot, and my parents are over at their house a lot, so it's normal. Anyways, my dad went to bed kind of early because he has to get up early for work in the morning, but he stayed to hang out with my mom for a bit. Again, that's normal for them. So the way our house is set up, it's 2-story, and the ceiling of the living room goes up to the 2nd floor and is just kind of open so you can stand in the walkway of the upstairs and see into and hear what's going on in the living room. Well, I had been in my room for the most part, and I walked out to go to the bathroom when I overheard Mom and H in the living room talking in a more quiet than normal voice. I thought it was weird, so I tried to listen in on their conversation. I guess they thought I was asleep or still in my room. It's not word for word, but it's close enough. H, what time do you think you need to leave to pick up you? WTF, Mom, are you serious? From school tomorrow? I was thinking I could come over for a little while if you feel up to it. Mom, you might as well just come over once she's dropped off at school. I've got some meetings to go to after lunch. H, just text me when you get back to the house, and I'll come over. Do you want me to bring over anything special? Mom, let's just keep it simple this time. We've been doing so much freaky stuff lately that I just want to take things easy the next couple of times. At first, I couldn't even believe what I was hearing and was convinced I must have misheard things, but from their tone of voice, there was no mistaking it. I didn't listen to anything else because I felt like I was going to throw up and sneak back into my room. I felt completely numb. Here's my dad's best friend talking to my mom about coming over and having sex with her. I thought about just barging downstairs right then and there or going and waking up to tell my dad, but I was just too nervous and in shock to even move. After lying in bed for what felt like an eternity, I finally decided I would get up before my dad left for work and talk to him about what I heard. Anyway, to make an even longer story short, I went downstairs around 5 a.m. when I heard my dad making breakfast and told him I needed to talk. After about 10 minutes of just rambling, I finally told him what I heard. At first, he had a look of surprise on his face, but pretty quickly, he went back to looking normal. He didn't even sound any different when he talked and just said, "Don't worry about anything. I'm sure you just misunderstood what they said." I was like, "No, Dad, I heard the way they were talking to each other." He just kept telling me not to worry about anything, that I must have heard incorrectly, taken things out of context, and so on. Not so much as "I'll talk to Mom, let me figure things out," or "Thanks for letting me know." I just don't understand. It's not like my parents have a bad relationship. They obviously love each other, and I've heard them having sex before. They've talked to me about sex before, so it's not like the topic of sex is awkward to talk about or anything either. Anyway, my dad left for work and left me alone in the house with my mom. I called one of my friends and asked them if they could pick me up for school because I couldn't even think about looking at my mom after all that's happened. I ended up getting my school stuff and going over to my friend's house because I didn't even want to wait for my mom to wake up. A little bit later, I got a text from my dad. Here is what it said. "You, WTF, Mom, are you serious? I appreciate you coming to me this morning and talking. I again just want to tell you not to worry about whatever it is you heard. Like I said, I'm sure you just misunderstood what Mom and H were talking about. Please don't let this affect your day, and just stay focused on school. We can talk more when I get home, if you want." At this point, I just don't know what to do. I'm stuck at school. My dad either doesn't believe me, or he does but doesn't care, and I can't even bear the thought of seeing my mom. I was thinking of calling out my mom's face when I get home, but the more I think about that, the more I know I probably can't do it. I was also thinking of texting W and letting her know. She is so nice, and she doesn't deserve to be cheated on either. If my dad is just going to say the same thing as this morning, I don't even want to bother talking to him again. What should I do? Reddit. TLDR, mom is cheating on my dad with his best friend. I told him, but he doesn't seem to believe me or care. What should I do? Relevant comments. Fishbear1984. Your dad's first job is to shield you from things that would hurt you. This includes preserving your sense of security in your family. This is his issue to deal with, not yours, so he's making sure that he does his best to keep you from carrying this on your shoulders. Additionally, you might want to consider that your parents are open about this with each other. Open marriages are a thing. OOP replied, "Thank you for the advice. My dad has always been an extremely caring guy and protective of me, so I guess either way, that's why he was so normal when I told him this morning." Greenbean999. Honestly, you do nothing. This is their relationship. They might have an arrangement in their relationship that says this is okay. They might have threesomes. Your dad might be fully aware already and was just surprised to hear you say something. You've done all you need to do already. Just move forward with school, etc. OOP replied, "I just don't even know how I can ever look at my mom or H again, let alone his wife. I'm trying to focus on school, but all I can think of is the fact that my mom is probably getting plowed by H as I type this. Update. I figured it wasn't worth making a new post just to update, so I'm putting it here. Before I get into it, though, I want to address a few things. First, thank you to everyone who gave me some advice. I know this may not seem like a big issue to some people, but it was very stressful for me. And this was a good place to vent, get my thoughts together, and get some outside opinions. Second, many people have been telling me that I'm not entitled to know anything about my parents' actual lives, and I completely understand this. I'm not looking for the nitty-gritty details. I just want to know that everything is okay. When my dad was telling me don't worry, maybe you didn't hear them correctly and you misunderstood, it made me feel like he didn't care about what I was telling him. Or worse, that he just didn't believe me. Now on to the update. Just before lunch, I got called out of class to the front office. My dad had left work to come pick me up. I didn't really say anything to him when I first saw him, and when we finally got in the car and started driving, I said, "Just tell me everything is okay, that's all I want to know," and started crying. I don't really know why I was crying. I wasn't so sad as I was just worked up and emotional from all that took place and for feeling like I didn't have anyone to talk to. My dad told me that everything was okay, and he would explain things when we got to where we were going. He ended up taking me to my favorite restaurant for lunch, and when we walked in and to our table, my mom was there. If I've ever wanted to know what it was like for my heart to stop, my curiosity has been filled. I just stared at her for a second, and then she stood up and hugged me. I didn't really say anything, but I hugged her back. We sat down in a booth, me on one side and mom and dad on the other, and ordered some food and drinks. In short, as many people suggested, my parents have an arrangement with H and his wife. As I said in my post and a few comments, my parents and I have always been comfortable talking about SX, and as weird as it was to think about their SX lives, we talked in small detail about what is going on. What my dad told me was, your mother and H have a larger need for their desires, whereas W and myself have a smaller need for our desires. And we all agreed a long time ago that we all trust each other enough to allow Mom and H to help take care of each other's desires. My mom then asked me if I wanted it to end and if my feelings and comfort were more important than anything else. I told her no, since, as many people told me, their SX lives are theirs, and I shouldn't try to interfere, but not to expect me to be comfortable around H for the time being. Don't get me wrong, he really is such a sweet guy, but after hearing them talk like that, it would just be too weird for now. They asked if I was okay or if I had any other questions, and they just listened to me, which I guess is really what I wanted from the beginning, to feel validated in needing to talk and to have someone to listen to me. So in the end, everything is okay between my parents. I got out of school early and had a great lunch. Now I'm going to go home and catch up on the sleep I lost last night. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoy listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.